Yeah, something wasn't right. I was wondering. Okay, hold on. It's coming, everybody. I think it's a little slow, but okay. All right, beautiful, beautiful. We are live, right on time. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a beautiful day. Hope you all are enjoying your wonderful Sunday. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar. Thank you all. So, lots have been going on, and I definitely wanted to engage in this conversation. Of course, when I hear about different things that may bring us a little anguish, first and foremost, just having the background experience that I have, I want to stay objective. I don't want to, first and foremost, jump to any conclusions. But the reality is that as a Black man, that recognize that we are at war, we must continue to heal and grow and create safe, protected spaces for our children. I wanted to find a balanced panel for the sake of dwelling or beating anyone up, of course, but we definitely want to create an awareness that these things happen within our community that need to be addressed. So, for those that may not know, we're speaking about this brother Polight. For those who may not know, Brother Polight, they refer to him as a motivational speaker. Others have said he's a conscious brother, and but he's done tremendously well and have inspired many young Black men, of course, and as well as women. But to basically leave the street life, I can say that's one good attribute about him that he has done. But there certainly have been challenges with him. But uniquely, he was a student of Dr. Malachi York. Those that know York, he had some knowledge, but sometimes knowledge can go to people's head, and he's now charged in jail. So however anybody feels about that, of course, is up to their discernment. But I have some other brothers and sisters here, and we're going to talk about Polight, for instance. He was recently charged with 3 counts, sexual battery. I don't know if the one was for aiding and abetting a minor, or whatever that one is. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Perhaps that was due to the alleged alcohol incident, giving a young lady alcohol, 14-year-old. So I have joining me live here, first and foremost, in the upper right hand corner, if that's how y'all see it. Priestess Love, on her page is Lady Love, and I'll let her come in, of course, and then Raising the Vibes in the lower left, and my man, the Black Order Podcast. And we've had, small discussions that I spoke to all of these brothers and sisters about this topic. And so I was going to play a video, but I think ultimately most of you are familiar, whether it's been before or now with this case. But Sister Lady Priestess Love, first introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about your background. And I can kind of put some of the questions to your background as we does, because you said, you didn't know Polight in depth. So I wanted to, kind of just throw some things out, and we can just be free flowing. If any of you all want to try and ask each other questions, but I'll come to Sister Raising Vibes and the Black Order Podcast. So go ahead. Priestess Love, you're first.
Okay. I'm Shay. Namaste. Shalom to everyone on the podcast. Thank you. It's an honor.
Can you hear me, Priestess Love? Are you muted?
No, I am not.
Yeah,
I can hear me.
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. So my background is in nursing. Social justice.
Good now.
I'm sorry, Brother Haki, what did you say?
I hear you. You good?
Okay. So my background by trade is nursing and education, and I am in the tech space with Black apps. I create Black apps. I've created an app that locates Black and Brown businesses and events. But I come from, I'm a third generation, actually probably a fourth generation minister and social justice activist. So my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my great grandfather have all been ministers, all have their own churches, and even Black Panther. So I'm a second generation Black Panther. I was kind of raised in that. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a different vibe. My parents definitely had a unique take on things and they wanted me to be open-minded. So I just come from that place. And that's about it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you for thinking about me. It's an honor. I love your work, revere your work.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you as well. Thank you. That's what I thought of you. All right, raising vibes. So let's raise some vibes in here.
Greetings. Yes, I do have a YouTube channel called Raising the Vibe. My name is Kim. My professional background is as an attorney. I graduated from Harvard Law School back in the 90s. And so I've been practicing all that time. In more recent years, though, I definitely have become more conscious. I think I always was, but I'm more active with it now. And so, my goal is to raise up the Black race, which I find that generally across the globe, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. So I focus on doing things and engaging in activities that are going to help to elevate us. And thank you, Brother Haki, for having me on. I'm so thrilled to be able to participate with all of you.
Cool. Well, I'm the Black Order Podcast. I named it the Black Order Podcast because I deal with solution, problem solving, and I believe in everything has order. And I'm like a fifth or sixth generation farmer. I'm into farming. My career expertise is private security. So I'm a bodyguard in the security industry. But my focus is to get people to love growing their own food again and the problem solving. Me and Hakeem always talk about views on everything and what's the solution and how the problem solve, because we need critical thinking right now. Absolutely. Nice to meet you guys.
It's wonderful to meet you all.
Right. And thank you. So for me, I'm author, speaker, and organizer. I am politically active here in the Baltimore area, but I've certainly been what some would refer to as a conscious community. So I've been through many schools of thought. I was not a joiner. I'm not a follower. I don't, just give people power over me. Haven't earned it. I respect many different great teachers, of course, and I've studied with many. And so, and I say that and open to say that, I'm always keeping an open mind to study different things and learn, but I don't get, as Sister Priestess Love said, we're not joiners, if you will, of these different movements. And I feel blessed that early on in my life, I read a lot of books and became a thinker independently. So I wasn't necessarily into just following people. Couldn't nobody just tell me something and I'm just going to believe anything. I can read for myself and I can think for myself. I can go and learn from different organizations when I choose. Can't nobody just say you got to be here. So, and I think that is ultimately, how I've been able to stand and be sort of independent. With that being said, just getting back to this incident with Polight. So allegedly, of course, he went and took a young lady who was one of his wives. He has multiple wives. However, anyone knows about that, they all I guess, agreed or something, that's a acceptable relationship for them. Though apparently or allegedly, Polight got the third wife, or I don't know, well, one of them, and took the daughter. They were supposed to have been going to a party, some late night party, but why are you taking a 14-year-old to a late night party? But he took her to a separate hotel room and gave her alcohol, and she got intoxicated. And I don't know if she got intoxicated, but she somehow woke up later with swelling on her mouth, and somehow the story came out that he allegedly touched her in her legs, her buttocks area, and her chest or breast area, and apparently, allegedly, attempted to force her to have oral sex. Now, this is a 14-year-old, for those who may not know. Brother Polight is 37, 38. Now, I just thought, like, well, he has some questionable history that others people have said. So I've sat on a jury once upon a time, and I know court cases can go in many different directions based upon the facts. And that's why, certainly, and due to my profession, and, I know how important paperwork is and legal processes, I didn't want to say everything, that's alleged on the charging documents is going to be fact. But I also believe that would be, some of this was a big setup. Like that's a big counterintelligence operation. If some people are thinking that this woman set me up, if you will. So, and I'll just go to Sister Priestess again, because you said I don't know if you said you recall some of the similarities with R. Kelly. So if you can, just elaborate on that, but also you mentioned just in terms of how we, for instance, Black people here, the whole multiple wives thing, not that's like, a problem for him or other people, but, the reality is that the whole consenting adult issue, or, she was a minor, so legally you can't do such a thing. I know I said a lot, but if you can, take pieces to what I said and just add on, we'll go to you. And if anybody want to jump into that, just or if you want to have an opening statement a little bit more, you can do that as well.
Okay.
So as I told you before, I am not keen to necessarily criticizing someone when they're down or when they're low. To me, this is this story just allows us to unpack some themes in our culture, our African-American culture, as well as the American culture as a whole. So to me, there's a few things that have to be unpacked. The first is age of consent and how mature is a 14-year-old. Brother Hockey, you and I spoke on the fact that when I was uncovering my grandmother's history, she was married at 15. My grandparents, both paternal and maternal, were moms at 15, moms at 14. They were married to older men. My maternal grandmother was married to a 28-year-old man who was college educated. Her parents were sharecroppers, so there was a come up for them to marry her off to this Black man in the let's say 40s or late 30s. So there's a few things we have to unpack. So just because you're 14 and you are a legal minor does not mean that you are not participating and acting and carrying yourself as an adult. It also doesn't necessarily mean that if someone is interacting with a 14-year-old, in my mind, that necessarily makes them wrong. So I just focus on the issue, not the person. So to me, those are things we have to unpack. Just age of consent, should it be changed? Because I teach in schools, 8-year-olds have nail polish 10-year-olds have fake nails and weave, makeup at 11, heels at 10. You do cell phones at 7 and 8. So,
Right.
as my millennial daughter said to me when she came to my school to engage with some project I was doing, and she said, I'm looking around at all these 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds, and they look exactly like me at 30. And she said, I wonder, what's the joy in becoming an adult when everything you do as a child is geared toward adulthood? So we could critique a man for dating a 14-year-old, but if the 14-year-old is twerking on Instagram and Facebook, and she's dating and having sexual intercourse of her own free will and making, conscious choices, not conscious in the higher order realm, but conscious as if I'm 14, I want to control my body. If I want to be sexual, I will. And if I don't, I won't. If I want to drink, most of us are very aware that the average age of drinking for the first drink is around 11 or 12. And in Europe, you are drinking at 14. So most of my junior high students have, I'm going to say at least half have had a drink. And a lot of times from their parents or in their parents' home. This has not been outside the home. This is inside the home, right? So to me, I feel like we have to unpack the issues, not the person.
Right.
Well, and I'll just a quick, add to that. And, you mentioned the age of consent, and, that's important. And I wanted to mention, and anyone can, add to this, like how historically, once upon a time, and I don't, I'm not a big scripture person, so perhaps Sister Minister here can share, even, I don't know, the Old Testament, but, about menstrual, women being on menstrual cycles or puberty as being, for instance, able to reproduce. And this is not for me to give, consent to anything, of course, but I just wanted to speak on a context that understanding, and I don't know all of Dr. York's teachings, but what I do know from, having some interactions with some of the followers, some of them mention that were perceived as violated in the York case, but I know that there was one gentleman who sort of started speaking on that. So, I didn't want to, address it any case with him, but I just thought we need to still, sort of protect children in certain contexts. So anyone else add on?
What I wanted to say, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sister. You okay?
What I wanted to say is that listening to the sister speak about your grandmothers being married young, I think that over time our society has changed in terms of how we view and protect children. So certainly there was a culture that allowed that previously. Now we would all raise our eyebrows if somebody's trying to marry a 14-year-old. Also, like previously, there was child labor. Now those laws are in place and we protect our children more. So although it is important to have a historical context when we're speaking about someone like Brother Polight and these charges that have been filed against him, we also want to analyze that in the context of the current society and how we view our children and how we try to protect them.
Yes, I agree with that. No, and I appreciate both of you giving that objective, analysis of that, because things are different now, and I think the children are immature even still, although they look, a certain way. I think early we had family structures, and there were certain types of cultural things that were going on that were, that would encourage family development and strengthening of family. And, just, I don't know what hanging out in a club and trying to get your freak on, like that. I mean, and I don't know if he wanted to reproduce with this young woman but he was trying to get her to give him like a head job. Like, I mean, where does that, I mean, that's the crazy part right there. Like that he did something and try to get her to do that. And not to say whatever people's sexual proclivities may be, but that's the kind of.
Yeah, my question is about it that
true.
Even though people, are looking at Polight, they should be questioning the mom too. Like what was the mom's role in everything? Where was she at? Because you're supposed to know where your child at all the time, or where your child is going, and how that get authorized with her not knowing, and how only now that it only becomes a problem with because of allegation coming out. Something's been going on. Because I know a lot of parents, when these situations, they be initiating situations and they'll play dumb till somebody don't get their way, and then it's a big a big problem comes out. So because I only hearing about the Polight side, but all we hearing is that part of I guess we're here out with the allegations, because how does somebody take somebody to the club and it was authorized? Yeah.
At 4 a.m, I think I heard something about 4 a.m. I was like,
right.
I mean, what you doing at 4 o'clock in the morning? And apparently the mother was in another hotel room, and he took the little girl to a different room. Like, and that's, I mean, one.
Right.
The pro-Polight are saying, well, the mother let them go. The club was closed, so he was waiting for them. So you go and get another hotel room, and you take the little girl, and you start giving her alcohol. Like, I mean, I just that's not the conscious community I was like a part of. Like, I don't know. First and foremost, I was taught, what Europeans did, with alcohol, and how it's a tool, for oppression, and many people are doing all kind of unconscious, ungodly things under, control of alcohol. So, it's like, I don't know, but it's just like with Polight. You see, for instance, and I don't want to dwell on that. Now I'm address your comment, brother. But like, if there was a judge and a jury in this case, and they looking at like all of Polight's previous behaviors of the alcohol, did you possibly could have gave the young lady alcohol? All you do is go to parties with alcohol. So it's like, yes, you do. He can't say, well, I don't drink. Nobody could ever see me drinking somewhere. So it's just like, when people are looking at your character to make if the case goes that far, you look like, and just from some previous other incidences with Sinetta and Young Pharaoh and the other teenagers that people speculated on publicly, if a prosecutor was investigating this, they're gonna be like, wow, we can get him. We can if we had to convince a jury or a judge, if we really wanted to get him, we can get him. So I'll just say that I certainly agree and say that, that the parent should, have some levels of protection, especially young women, and not just young women, but women in general. And not to say that, can't no man come close and be close, but letting your child go somewhere late at night with any man, like, that don't make sense. It definitely don't make sense. But
except for if it's your husband, though. I got to go places late at night with my dad. So, but I do think that again.
Right.
Right. So I
Well,
feel like again,
where
this
would you go with your father late at night? I mean, like in general, like where would somebody,
anywhere he
you know,
wanted to
like
go. Anywhere he wanted to go. If my dad wanted to go someplace late at night, he has his kids. We get to roll with him.
I
Now, my
mean, I
dad was
just
a
okay,
like going
renegade,
hang out with the pops. Yeah.
but I have had an experience at 12 where I was at a nightclub repeatedly.
With your
Um,
biological father, though, right?
yeah, my biological father.
Your
Biological father.
biological dad.
But we can't say that. We cannot put those critiques because my grandfather that I love the most honorable man in my life, it turns out he wasn't biological. I didn't find that out until I was a teenager
Okay.
because they don't tell you that. He married my grandmother before I was even born. So my
Right.
whole life, I know him as granddad. If he want to take me out, my grandfather took us late at night to movie. In fact, I remember us going to a drive-in. I'm in my pajamas in a nightgown, barefoot, at a drive-in movie at 11 o'clock at night, me and my sister. So I feel like it's not the incident, it's these resounding, recurring themes that come up in our family. So the first thing I want to acknowledge, I totally agree with what you said, Queen. We do look in things in the context of the cultural phenomena that we're experiencing right now. But I also want to say that we have a tragic experience of trying to romanticize our history. Our history is not romantic. We didn't have a family structure 50 years ago. I'm so sorry, but we did not. We did not have a family structure 100 years ago. We didn't have it 200 years ago. We didn't have it 300. We've not had a family structure for 600 years. So we can't romanticize it like women were all empowered and can tell their husbands what they are and aren't going to do with the children. And that just has never existed. And the more I uncover my own family's history, I see the darkness in it.
Right.
This is something that we have a problem talking about. Incest is so rampant, not in the Black community, in all communities. Incest has been a way of life for, I'm going to say millennia. Even if we study the forefathers, it's a way of life. We have not addressed it. We're just now addressing it with the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement was the first time that I could ever come out and say, hey, I've been raped too. Me too. Yep, 14 years old. It happened to me. So I think, again, we asked the mother, what were you doing? But I know in my own family's history, there have been mothers who cannot deal with the shame of the fact that your husband is a pedophile, that you married this man and you're going to stay with this man and you've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids with this man. You need his support. You love him. Where would you go? And they look the other way or they do this kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I was
And
watching the documentary about what's his name? He's Woody Allen, and they have a documentary on Netflix about his charges against him molesting his daughter. But this is a cultural phenomenon that we have not yet dealt with because Me Too kind of got sidelined by the Black Lives Matter movement and everything else, the pandemic. So we kind of sideswiped Me Too. But when we start uncovering Me Too, you're going to find out that probably 75 to 80% of all females and males, that part, can't say, oh, just the women. Nope. In my own family, 30-year-old men have come out and said, this boy touched me, this man touched me, he raped me, I've been brokenhearted and alcoholic ever since. So we have to address these facts. The alcohol abuse is real. It's real in almost all of our families. Women being passive and women are just now being able to assert themselves. That's number 2. And number 3, incest is best. And almost every single family, you're going to uncover some stuff and you're going to find out it's in there. So those are issues we have to bring out. Instead of just criticizing them one-on-one, we have to have another Me Too movement where people will come out and say, yep, I was molested. I'm a boy. I was molested. I was a girl. Yep, my mother looked the other way, but I still have to love her. Yep, my father looked the other way, but I still have to love him, you know?
right.
Well, I guess I would jump in at this juncture and say that, you know how we talk about trauma being passed down through our DNA. I wonder if on some level, unbeknownst to me, there was some of that because I was really protective over my children. Once their father and I divorced, there's not a lot of men that are going to come around my children. And I grew up and was raised by women who were single. I saw strong women and they did not allow men around us. I don't know who they dated, what they did, because they did not bring them around us. There wasn't a bunch of uncle this and uncle that. So, there is diversity in our communities. And so mine comes from a totally different place. And I always knew that I had a visceral reaction to any kind of abuse toward children. I literally modified my entire professional life so that they didn't have to go to daycare. I think there are two strains. And in my upbringing, and what I followed was really being that woman who just is not allowing that kind of access to your children. And it very well may stem from things that happen in the family that I'm not aware of. And so we're reacting to something that I just don't know about,
Right. That's a lot. I mean, you're right about that. I mean, it is things that we do need to address. I think a lot of Black people have a lot of taboos that some of the discussions are personal. Just like I saw the other day, people online was attacking polygamy and people from different Black cultures, and I was just like, you can't attack cultures and people's belief systems because of what one individual did if you don't really know everything. But we have to just get on a board where we can have these discussions without attacking each other, because it is something personal, especially with trauma. Because there's a lot of people I know suffer with trauma. It's getting out of. I guess this time, because I know a lot of the community are pretty quiet right now. People are hurt, but people are quiet. People don't know what to think. I seen Minister Jeff was talking about it today, Hakeem, about the Hotep community. They're pretty quiet and upset. I think they're mostly embarrassed because a lot of them looked up to Polight, so they don't know what to think. So that's why he ain't really hear nothing about them.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, and that's what's interesting. I mean, I don't know. When people say the Hotep community, I mean, some people have said I'm in the Hotep community, and some people, they don't think I am. I don't, what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I don't know what that is anymore, like for real. So you mean like people that just read and think, like, I don't, what I'm saying? People that want to know their history or want to know what's going on in the world, or what I'm saying, like, or people, or and some put it like people that believe in Garvey and alternative history, what I'm saying? So it just go in many different directions when people say this, because not everybody, and I consider myself conscious, and I've been in amongst these different groups for half my life, but they don't agree with everything. There's no Hotep community, there's no conscious community. There's many different traditions, many different groups, and there's splinters within all of these groups that so I've had to learn, like, okay, I'll get knowledge where I can and make it worth what I need to do for my own personal health, personal healing, and personal growth. But but I'm not going to call people Hoteps, because ultimately what I've experienced, for me, many conscious people, they the people you need. Like, really, they are the healers. Like, if you don't know, if Dr. Sabi or Dr. Africa or somebody, if they are considered the conscious Hoteps, I'm like, these are the people that's going to help you. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, I don't know if people refer to her, Dr. Patricia Newton. If people are referring to them as Hoteps, these are the people that can dissect racism, white supremacy in many different levels. And we need the Amos Wilsons and the Black psychologists and the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization. We need many of these institutions. And we need people who don't know what a Hotep is. Like, we need people that's just doing things in the community and protecting their children. They just good, hardworking Black folks. They don't know nothing about Africa. They don't know nothing about being conscious, but they want to educate. They want to protect our children. And this is what, who I, want to align with. Like, and I mean, and you got some people that want to protect all kind of craziness and insanity. and so all kind of menticide. So I'm not one of them that want to protect and allow for everybody in any circle. Like no culture or community can survive with menticide.
Right.
And toxic people. So we need to be aware of that. But go ahead, Baba, or anybody else.
I was going to say I'm in agreement with every single thing that you and the Empress have said.
Ultimately,
as well as your brother. Mm-hmm. But what I was going to say is what I have been very disappointed with in the last, I'm going to say 50 years, is uncovering the gender discrimination and gender bias that's within all communities. And right now we're only focusing on ours. So I'm going to talk
about. Wait a minute, sister. You're in close to 50.
I don't mean to trigger. But when I found out that at the March on Washington, that Miss Ella Baker, I can name a couple other women, I won't, these female notables were not allowed to speak. They put together the entire march. Right. They did everything, the funding, getting the permits for the March on Washington, gathering the people. They did it all and were not allowed to speak at this historic event. If I'm not mistaken, Miss Dorothy Height, I believe, was the only one, and she was only given like 3 or 4 minutes, right? So I think as we start to uncover one of these topics that we're going to see, one of the changes that we see in the vibration of the universe right now is that women are going to start to come to the forefront. It seems that in the past, when men were at the forefront, things were done very negatively. A lot of incest, a lot of lying, a lot of cheating, a lot of mishandling of funds. I'm not saying that women won't do it, but I think we're all aware that now is the time of the Black woman, that everybody around the globe wants to be a Black woman, whether she's Asian or Arab or Jewish, or it doesn't matter. She wants my nails. She wants my lips. She wants my skin tone. She wants my hair. She wants my swag. She wants my man. She wants her children to look like my children. So what's happening right now, you're going to see Black women come to the forefront in amazing numbers. It's already happening. Black women are going to start to open up their eyes. And when we are allowed to stand in our true power, I think you're going to see these type of R. Kelly, Polight, whatever, Bill Cosby instances to kind of minimize. Because I think to myself, first of all, I come from a long line of political activists. So I know you're going to get attacked. When I got 20,000 followers on Facebook in 2016, they had Russians coming for me immediately. That's why I jumped off of all of those incendiary, divisive platforms, right?
Okay. Wow.
So you have to check me on my cell phone if you want to get in touch with me, because I'm not rocking with those groups anymore. I create apps. I know that they're gathering data on you. They're tracking you. They're manipulating you, right? So I feel that as women come to the forefront and stand in their true power, we're going to see a lot of these things start to minimize, because here's what men in the past have failed to recognize. The minute you come into a position of power, like Brother Martin versus Brother Malcolm, we all know the history by now. They couldn't find nothing on Brother Malcolm. Big ups to Michigan. Shouts out. But Martin has a long trail of broken hearts, right? So I think to myself, how are these men weakened sexually where they don't overstand and understand that the minute I rise to power, all eyes are on me. I better pull an Obama and only grab the backside of my wife. And leave everything alone. I'm going to be quiet on that one.
I just want to co-sign that. I mean, I sort of did a little bit of research to get my arms around Polight, Dr. York, all this sort of movement. And the main thing that stood out to me was the misogyny. And they even spoke about how in the Black Panther Party, I mean, you know, I of course was familiar with that, but I'm digging a little deeper. And some of the women were saying, we organized everything. We did this, we did that. We don't even know how the movement came to be viewed as a movement of Black males when everything was really done by the Black women. So I definitely wanted to co-sign on that. And I definitely agree that the divine feminine, whatever it is we want to call that, is coming to the forefront. And we see all those attributes that we've always been criticized for being the desired attributes. You are absolutely right. They want to look like us, dance like us. They want our men. They want their babies to look like ours. And so I think instead of what we often do is attack them, saying, you know, cultural appropriation, this, that, and the other. But there is a silver lining in that cloud. And it's for us to look at the fact that we're being pushed to the forefront, and how can we utilize that to benefit our culture, our country, the motherland, everything it is that we're interested in.
Right. Well, I'm just my question is, do you believe in feminism?
I mean, it's not a big interest of mine. I don't believe it's not a big thing for me. I believe in elevating and joining together our race. And to piggyback on something you were saying, I think that the issue of polygamy, polyamory, whatever it is we're calling that, needs to be addressed, because now we're seeing more and more the conscious community is bringing that to the forefront, and we have to figure out I mean, how we're going to deal with that. You know?
We need new names and classifications of different things, because like I'm seeing women now, I'm seeing in me and Hakeem's area, they got 2 husbands. So it's things that we need to address, where we can have some open dialogue without judgment. Because like right now, like I'm seeing the way families is going, how we depend on each other. A lot of families are broken. So people, I guess, in the conscious community are trying to bring solutions where, well, can families come together as one? Can families who are broken have this family come together and this family come together to pull together? Because other groups has figured that out without conflict and out, you know, being destructive. And our community haven't figured that out. You know, because, you know, and it is a thing that me and even my daughter talk about. It's like, Dad, can Black people live together in the house without fighting over apple juice? Can 4 sisters come together and share their food stamps and wash each other's clothes without being colorist against each other's kids? Can they come together and one cook the meal? And I said, what made you think of this? She said, well, Dad, I was one day wandering, because in our neighborhood, it was the one Latina lady was watching everybody's kids, and all of them live in our neighborhood, but all of them watch each other's kids like, you know, like a dinosaur, and they all feed each other. And in our neighborhood, that everybody look like me and you, Dad, they don't speak to each other. But then all the other African groups, they all speak to you. But then the ones that's Black Americans that's been here all their life in our area, they don't have much to say. They don't look at no one else's kid as their own. But when the 3 kids missed the bus and they got locked out the house, you was the only parent that stepped up and allowed the kids to come to our house to wait till their parents get home. And so then I thought about it, and I said, you know, I never looked at you. I just did it because that's what I never used to do when I was little. You know, like some of them people are dead and gone now that was like 70 or 80 years old. They were like, oh, just come wait here. But our community need to have a discussion how to, I guess, reform how we work together without problem, you know, like problem solving. Because this is why I got back into farming, because like if they ever just say one day, oh, we're not going to feed nobody, how we figure out how to eat, how we figure out how to work together. Huh? What'd you say now?
Doomed. We would be doomed.
Yeah, because
without food and water, we focus on the armament, getting weapons, but nobody focuses on farming. So you can have all the guns in the world. When they cut off your water supply, you're dead in a week.
Yeah, so like, and then we don't speak to each other. So like many like brothers and sisters won't talk to each other. It was a lady almost hit me the other day, and then when I saw her in the grocery store, she didn't happen to know I was gonna have to end up going to the grocery store. I said, yeah, you almost hit me texting, but you know, I let it go. maybe you had a long day, a bad day, or whatever. But I said, you know, you could have hit somebody. I could be your future husband, but you just hit me. I know it's probably Sunday. You probably left church, and she started laughing. And I said, but I'm being serious. I said, she's like, you have a sense of humor on how you saying it. I said, because Black people are always mean to each other. I'm just approaching you because I was trying to figure out what made you so fast where you was willing to run me off the road and didn't see me. And then you went only to the grocery store. You know, my life didn't matter to you, you know? And then she was like, I said, but y'all be saying, want to talk about that. Men don't defend you guys. So I just wanted to ask. And then when I walked away, she's like, you know, I never looked at it like that. I said, well, I'm just looking at it that, hey, we got to care about each other more, because the times that we're marching in and the reality that America is bringing and the world is bringing, if we don't have that together, it's going to be pretty seriously bad, because it's the youth don't even get along with each other. We take out our racist anger on each other, what we should take out on our oppressor. So, and a lot of antisocial issues we take out on each other. So I'm trying to figure out what can we do to start solving problems where sisters can trust each other, or we can start giving each other compliments without always being mean. Like, the mean thing is just, to me, is so played out and it's so boring. But and so I don't want the children picking it up, because a lot of the negativity comes from the kids. If you be different and you Black and you creative and you be you know, I see teenagers say a Black nigga nerd, other Black kids won't like you. You know, I hear from so many Black youth because they don't want to be creative because they're scared they'll get picked on. So that's been like one of our things in family solving problems, is how to work together without drama. You know, everybody has drama, but not the drama where it's to the extent, you know.
Can I ask a question? Because this is something that is really standing out to me, and it may just be because I was raised by grandparents instead of parents. It seems to me that when I was younger, we had community. The neighbors called you out if you were doing something. They told on you. They called your grandmother if you were doing something. The aunts watched us. We met together on the weekends. The grandmothers raised without
we don't have that anymore.
They raised the grandchildren. The grown children came back and lived into the homes when they needed to, lived in the homes when they needed to. But we have gotten further and further away from that, so that my community is now like the community you're talking about. I may know the sorority sister across the street and maybe this one, but we're coming in through our garages and going, you know, and we don't really have community anymore. But I feel that even from slavery days, it was something we had.
That's what I told my daughter.
To assimilate into European or American or whatever we want to call the culture, we have tossed that away to our detriment. We are worse off.
The reason why I bring that up about discussion and family, because Cressler's Welsing, you know, Dick Gregory, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, I wish I could have built. I work for rich elderly people. I wish I could have built them a place where they all could be together and keep each other energy alive. What I mean is, we don't have no places where our elders can go and fellowship together and be amongst each other without being separated and being dying alone. Because like in my neighborhood, I look at all the ladies that's in their 60s, 50s, 70s. They all the widows. So my son's going today. He did run errands for them. I said, well, I don't mind running errands. I said, you know, I wish I could, if we could put down issues, if I could just buy a big giant house and put all of them 6 elderly ladies in the one big house, that would be excellent. But the issue would be, can I trust somebody I don't know? Because, you know, we have this wall up and we, you know what I'm saying, our people don't know how to work together, and all of them on fixed incomes, all of them retired. None of them don't have husbands no more. But, it's something that we're gonna have to address, because eventually we all will be 80 and 90 one day. And I see it in other communities where they have stuff set together where people are still together, or they take care of them, you know, even when they're older, or they be around other older people. You know, we just need to have some solutions and teach the youth that too. The youth are very separate from that discussion.
And we see that in African communities too, don't you, Hockey? I've traveled to Africa a lot. They are like, there are no homeless here. Oh, there was some wind damage. Yeah, but we're going to take them in. You can go over here and get a meal. It's going to be okay. it is our tradition. We just have moved away from it, and we gotta come back over to it in order to be okay. In order to be okay, we've got to come back together.
Yeah, definitely. Because if coming together with community, then we can stop people like Brother Polights and people like some of the ones that look for, you know, weaknesses in families or weaknesses in women. Because see, truthfully, like if that girl had a dad or uncle or any community, some of that stuff won't happen. You know, nature boys and them don't pop up out of the blue if they know they couldn't infiltrate a family with love. You know,
and when you see like a coach or something who has molested children, they don't molest every child they come into contact with. They molest the weakest links, the ones without that family structure and support.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. We need to shore those up so that our kids are not vulnerable to
that. They also choose people who are silent. So the people who honor the no snitching code, the people who honor the I'm gonna keep family secrets or I don't want to talk. So in my family, quite a few. So I come from a family opposite of yours, Queen Kim. My family is all males. My grandmother gave birth to 10 boys. She had one daughter and had to adopt another daughter so that daughter would have someone to be around. So I'm raised by all men. And so what happens is I see things from the male's perspective. I see how they play things out, how they move, blah, blah, blah. But my point is a lot of the other girls in my family have been molested, but I haven't because I've always been a speaker. I've always been a talker. Oh, you talk too much. Okay, but you won't try this one because, you know, I don't do secrets. I can come out as a minister or whatever I want because I'm going to tell you up front, I've had an abortion. I'll tell you up front, I've spent time as a gay woman. I'll tell you up front, I've had a multiple relationship. I'll tell you up front, there's no secrets. You can't get nothing on me. I keep it nice and jiggy and nice and open and good and transparent. But for those who are secretive, that's who they want. They want you.
Right.
They want you. So you got to raise your daughters and your sons to tell. This snitch thing in our community, it has to be destroyed.
It's not benefiting us. It allows criminals, rapists, incestual people to prosper because we can snitch. We don't need that in our communities.
Right.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says "Total Snitch."
Yeah, some of them
I'll wear one of those.
Wow.
Yeah, because you know, and that's
all right. Yes, this has been great. Everybody.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, brother Ace.
Oh yeah. You know,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
You said go ahead. That started because of certain. Oh, you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, continue. Complete your.
Okay. Yeah. Some of that snitching stuff came because of in parts of hip hop pushed so long and so much where it's so effective where now even if someone's life depend on it and they're about to die, no one won't give them no information. Things that need to be reported. And two, if the same thing that we could do with each other, we could do it to other situations, other groups. You know, like this Polight thing, I get it. How everybody put it on every tabloid, everything. Now, I'm not knocking how it was reported and done, but I do have a problem with when Polight was presented, he got pushed out in the forefront, but it was a guy, I call him a Wookie or a Brad just recently. He just gave 200 black women between Atlanta and Florida AIDS. And then getting no news tabloid, no discussion about it. Why is that? Why is that not reported? Why is the 2,500? Yeah. Why is the 2,500 white supremacist gangs they just found in the LAPD police force where Christopher Donner was telling everybody that everybody thought he was a lunatic, and now it came out 2 days ago that it's 2,500 white supremacist groups. If all these tabloids that's black and pushing Polight out on the forefront, then why are we not talking about these Wookiees that's impregnating black ladies for whatever they need in Atlanta and Florida? Because this is going on too, and just getting away with it, and nobody is speaking on that. I don't understand that, you know.
Racist white supremacy. Easy answer. They do that for everything. They do that
Right.
in every area. They're going
But
to
our
put
people have
the
some of these
negative.
tabloids too, though. You know, some of our biggest YouTubers, black YouTubers, touched on the Polight, where it pushed it to every news broadcast. If we could use that light for other stuff when we get angry with each other, why don't we use that on things that abuse our neighborhood, like kids are getting missing, organ getting missing, things that just violates our neighborhood, violate us. It never gets reported that much. I'm just shocked that got pushed.
We have to
so
take
hard.
back our music. Once we take back our music, then things will change. Music is the first religion. It is a religion, and people are not aware of it. When the white man took control of that, of rap and pretty much all of our music industry, we were doomed. We're doomed. So once we take that back and start supporting the artists that are conscious, supporting people who are doing the good work in our community and push them to the front, and then their vision is the vision our little seeds get to see and emulate, it'll help change our situation.
That's a good point. And I think those of us who are on social media need to start speaking about your point, brother, because, you know, I always think in terms of mainstream media. I expect them to do exactly what you said. I expect them to put a negative looking picture of Brother Polight out and put a positive graduation picture of some white pedophile out. But you raise a different point, which is that we have an obligation to bring.
We control everything. We Facebook and Instagram. This is how powerful it is. Facebook and Instagram is so powerful. We talk so much that all the tabloids depend on us. World Star is owned by Nigerian or Haitian, and so is the other tabloids. And we pushed that far. And when I thought about it, when I saw Tyreek doing debates on Twitter, he actually rules Twitter, where when he says something, the news go pick it up and do what he say. So if that can be done on that full scale, then we really control the narrative. We just don't do it enough where we could get on code and be like, you know what, black sister, I'm not fighting you today. If it's light skin and dark skin topics or whatever topics to be mean to each other, today we're going to talk about our enemy topics and push that to the forefront, because that's what we need to be having these solutions with. Because all I ever see us do is we join on each other so much. What they call it roasting. We roast on each other so much and put each other down so much about every little thing. And then when it comes to like some real topic that like kids are getting missing in certain cities, or people like the little girl who got hit with this the shovel and then got raped, and then the guy got out, and then that really didn't make no news media, and he said he was crazy, so they let him out of jail. And the girl was only 8 years old. Now I'm trying to figure out how he could just get away with that, raping and molesting a little girl in front of her house and biting her face. So, you know, and no gangster haven't turned up on that person. That's what gets me. Like, these people walk free. You know, George Zimmerman lives in Maryland now. He left Florida and moved to Maryland. So I'm just saying that we could control the narrative and do our part with all these tabloids. I mean, Tasha K has 1 million. It's so many big giant female YouTubers. Like, black females actually rule YouTube because so many men follow them, so many women follow them. If that became a narrative push, we could control all our stuff back easily. You know, because social media rules all discussions, all gossip. It rules. You could put something out today. You can make me a millionaire today and make it look and appear that I'm somebody big, and it could just come up.
You just stated it. You said it rules all gossip. And it's true, it rules gossip. So we have to talk about the fact that the nature of a human is that a good experience for all four of us in this podcast, if we have a good experience, we'll repeat that one time. But if we have a negative experience, we'll repeat it 7. And it's not a black thing, it's a cultural thing. This is an American thing. We thrive on the negative. If you don't use clickbait, no one's clicking on your website. You know, so you get them in with the negative, and it might be that we have to create a strategy like that. Get them in with the negative and then switch it around to the positive, kind of like we just did in this conversation. Started out with just Brother Polight, how wicked he is, but it really is about these issues that are in our community that have not been dealt with, you know?
Right. Well, you know, I switched it around because Brother Polight is just he's just an avatar of what our community is dealing with, period. A lot of people are suffering, and it's just not, I would say it's just not men women are going through different trauma, sexual abuse, but so is men. Because just the other day, it was somebody on my Instagram, a guy said that his mom used to rape him, and his mom used to let her friends rape him when he was only a kid, and he used to get scared to do it. And when he told everybody, nobody didn't want to hear it. So it's a lot of stuff going on in our community that we have to address, because truthfully, in our community, monsters get made when they're children. Monsters get made effectively if you're not getting love, or how you suffer, or how you put stuff together. Now, mental illness is not being addressed too in our community too, because we do have a lot of mental illnesses going on.
It's not being addressed in any community. It's not a Black thing. It's an American thing.
Yeah, it's an American thing. I just focus on our community because I know that some things that some of our people, need certain responsive help, and they don't know how to go get the help, because a lot of us have ego, and we could put that ego to the side. Some of us can get help,
Right.
And we need our community needs to get on code. I mean, I think that's at the bottom of a lot of what you're discussing. We are never on code. I interact with white people in my professional life. They're on code. If I present a black expert at the trial and a white expert at the trial, they go on that black expert. Give that white lady a pass, and then try to come through some other witness and talk about her, which of course I don't allow, but I'm saying they're on code. We are rarely, if we need to get on code. That would make all the difference for us. And
it's real, because other communities know. I'm gonna tell you how I know. When I got my beard shaped up like a week ago, an Asian guy said, hey, you guys could win your community back with the catalog with our community. And I say, how? He says, well, it's enough of y'all buying all the products. All you got to do is just stop buying it and get the catalog back and demand the government to have that catalog back. But he says, I understand why you guys fight so much. Just get we're making money off of y'all. And I was just like, you know what? You got a good point there. I couldn't argue with that.
It was set up that way for 600 years. So there's a scientific study that was done with mice, where they put 2 or 3 mice in a cage. They had a electrical shock in one corner.
Right.
The mice for the first generation found out that corner was killing other mice, so they stopped going to that corner. They had babies. They found that 7 generations down, no mouse would go near that corner, even when they took the electrical shock out of it. Somehow they had communicated through the generations that this is something that will harm you. And so, again, we are the largest group of PTSD people, and we have trauma bonds. And so we can't make any of these changes unless we all recognize that all of us are wounded. And like Queen Kim said, she doesn't know if it's from something that happened with grandma, and she said it to daughter, and then daughter made sure she wasn't ever going outside, and she just did the same thing with her kids because it was embedded in her. She doesn't know why. But when we start talking about these things, we really should not critique ourselves at all. The Jews don't critique themselves for allowing themselves to be killed in gas chambers. You never hear a Jewish person saying, how could we be so stupid that we went to a gas chamber? They weren't stupid. They did the best that they could with what they knew. And now they're stopping it by never letting a person forget this happened to us, and we're never going to forget it. So we talk about our community like we're normal. We're not normal. We are literally not out of slavery. What we need to do, to me, first, take over the music, and second, take over politics. Leave the Democratic Party. Dump them, because if you can give us $3,000 cash, but you can't stop dead bodies, we can't come to an agreement on how to stop killing people in the street. What? And we're going to vote for you next in 4 years? I think not. I'll vote for Trump. Boom, that part.
Right.
And you know what? I used to be so angry at our people for some of these issues, but never anymore, because I realized that we were conditioned. The American government did psychological and illegal studies on people to learn how our minds work, how to condition us, how to program us, and they used it. And you know what? Even on the continent, with colonization, they were subjected to a lot of that too. So it just runs really deep in us. And so I feel sympathy for us And like, how are we going to fix it instead of, I never get mad at people anymore. I'm like, they're only doing what they've been programmed to do.
All right, well, give me a loaf of bread. Can I buy a loaf of bread tonight? I'm just messing with you.
Right.
Sharing is
You
caring.
can buy it,
Get
but
back
you
to
can have
sharing
it.
is caring, but you're right.
You can have the loaf of bread. You don't
Absolutely.
have to buy it.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm just messing with you.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, sharing is caring, and we gotta get back to that. And we all have like the best aspects of solution and point of view. I just want to see us heal and do great because we have a lot of great talent, and we are the funniest, intelligent, and creative out of like all groups on this planet Earth. And we need to find a way to help each other like become better and help each other heal. You know.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been great, everybody. I know Sister Kim has
I have enjoyed
getting on the Renoko Rashidi memorial thing. So
yes.
we're going to begin to close out here. So just want to say thank you all. And Kim, I sent you Sister Priestess Love email. I sent you a picture. She put it in the group. So reach out for her, and I'll do the same with Brother Ace, the Black Podcast. So I appreciate you all. This has been beautiful. I'm sure that the audiences will agree and appreciate it, and value the wisdom that you all have given. I appreciate you all for this opportunity. So we'll do it again sometime soon. All right.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
nice
everybody.
Love and light.
Bye. Love and light to you.
People. Yeah. All right. Peace. Close. In.